This is Rogue Wing, Coraline, or Helen RD over at Starship Modeler. Welcome to the workshop. Greetings. Decided after finishing the Solaria and Repaint of the Galactica that while I could probably get another entry done for the SMA contest, I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm going to go back to my work in progress stack and pick up one that I actually started somewhere around a year and a half ago. What it involves is taking an SR-71 base frame and turning it into something from one of the stories and RPs I'm involved in. Starts life as an alien spacecraft belonging to a bounty hunter from another time frame, and gets turned over as a government transport craft. In this case designated Omega-7 Tau. I'm still working out how I want to do the engines and these pods on the upper fuselage, but while I'm working that out, some details I've already started on. Starting with a 1/72nd scale SR-71 Blackbird, I've chopped a chunk out of the fuselage. Real thing would be about there to give the shortened effect shown in the illustration. I've also modded the cockpit opening to accommodate the larger cockpit I plan, because while the model originally started as 1/72nd scale, the Omega-7 Tau craft I'm actually building at about 1/144th. Now, to help customize things, taking some parts from my spares. I've also cut down the nose to remove the characteristic point and allow me to put a new intake or deflector of some kind in the front end. But I've taken some things from my bits box. The cockpit deck will actually be formed by what was the back plate for the Mobius Mark 7 Viper cockpit. What I'm going to do is I'm put two of them end to end to create a deck underneath the inside the existing fuselage to accommodate the smaller scale. That'll also let me be able to go back and create something resembling a passenger compartment back here. I have my crew. Those of you who followed the Jilted Harlot build will remember this pack of N-scale figures. They're close enough to 1/144th to do the job. The landing gear, the wheels for the SR-71 would be woefully out of scale for what I'm going to be doing. So I'm taking the landing gear from the Mark 7 Viper and I'll modify it to act as the new landing gear for the for Changewind One. That's what its original designation was, and that's probably how I'm going to refer to it for most of the build. Among the things I still have to do is I need to go in and fill the vent texture from the SR-71 hull. I've already put in the what would be the landing gear bay doors. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to leave the detail that those would produce in the hull here or not. But I do need to go in and get rid of the remaining obviously SR-71 details. But that's where the project sits at the moment. I've got a lot of work to do still. We'll see how it goes. Okay. back at it with CW, Changewind One. At this point, I haven't done a whole lot. I'm going to use this chunk of wood. I'll cut it up into smaller pieces. Use that as the basis for the engines that get mounted on the tops of the wings. And here are the blanks I'll be using to make the main engines from. Next step with these will be to skin the corner sections with aves so I can get them shaped right. And then I need to go in and cut out these notches in either end, which should make things pretty interesting. Still got to cut the wings, but I picked up some 1/8 inch birch plywood to make those out of, as well as the vertical stabilizers. And I've still got a bunch of work to do on the fuselage. I haven't even started filling in the SR-71's vents yet. Of course, I've also got to lay out the landing gear doors and the vertical lift vents. But that's where we sit. And good evening. Continuing the slow but sure progress on the Changewind One build. At this point, main fuselage part is pretty much done. I've got to go in and touch up some of the seams here, especially back along here. This thing aligned for crap. But the good news is I can fill that in with aves and shouldn't have too much problem. I've also gone in, as you can see with all the lovely blue aves, I've gone in and filled most of the vents found on the SR-71 hull. I have also sanded off the raised panel lines for the most part. I have cut, as you can see here, the wells for the main landing gear. I've left the vents open in a few spots on the bottom to act as vents for the vertical lift thrusters that CW will use in lieu of a runway and wheels. I've also got the landing gear actually glued together now. When I go to use it, I'll wind up cutting it off at about this level, just enough to get it off the ground. Granted, this is actually this is actually the front gear, but I will use the correct ones. You know, something like that, just to get it off the ground without causing too much problem. Progress has been slow, mostly because I really haven't felt like working on much, but that's also why I haven't done another contest entry and started working on this instead. Oh, that's it for tonight's update.